Welcome to Game Bird Spotlight, a production of the North American Game Bird Association. We're talking tonight about a very timely topic, protecting yourself during avian influenza. We have had some incidents in the country, and we know for sure that avian influenza is here. It does affect game bird farms. It does affect hunt clubs. And so far we've had one smaller 9,000 bird club that has been depopulated, and one that has gone out of business. And another western farm in Nebraska has lost 140,000 birds to avian influenza in the past couple months. So what can you do about it? What can you do to protect yourself? Number one is to be part of your state's National Poultry Improvement Plan. This is a government program designed to aid the health and safety of poultry industry. Game birds have a whole separate section, Subpart J, in this program with protocols specifically guiding the growth and movement of our industry. Number two is have a biosecurity plan. Unbelievably, there are still some folks who do not have a biosecurity plan in place. After all the information that we put out in 2015, during that episode of this disease, one would think we'd all be on board with preventative measures, but we're seeing that this is not the case. Denial is a powerful thing. What is a biosecurity plan? It's a written guide to practice separating clean areas from contaminated areas with a border transition area for entry and exit. You need to have protocols in place for washing footwear, for sanitizing vehicles, for sanitizing tools, having feed trucks cross the border, removing refuse, and integrating supplies. All these things need to be in place in a written format that outlines what you will do. Part number 3 of this plan is have your biosecurity plan approved. If you are over 25,000 birds on a flock, you can have your plan approved by your state's National Poultry Improvement Plan. If you have less than 25,000, you can have it reviewed by the NPIP program. The difference is that level at 2,500 is a line that the USDA draws concerning a larger farm or a smaller farm. One of our extension agents and partner, Abby New, has agreed to review anyone's plan, and she has graciously allowed us to share her email address for people who would like to have their biosecurity plan reviewed. Step number 4 is to actually do your biosecurity plan. You need to view anything crossing that line of demarcation as a threat to your birds, whether it's a worker, delivery drivers, dogs, rodents, songbirds, etc. You have to have a plan for mitigating the risk of contamination. You need to separate hunters from your game bird facilities. You need to teach your employees and then monitor them. People do what you inspect, not what you expect. We know that ducks are carriers, and close contact with them is a definite risk factor. If you're determined to raise ducks along with game birds, you have to facilitate a separation between the two. You have to separate growing areas and use strict biosecurity between those areas. My next point at number 5 is to separate incoming birds from established flocks. I think for so long we've just been happy with folks getting us birds that we don't think about the possible contamination that birds coming into our facility can cause. On the other side of that, okay, for the person receiving the birds, make sure you separate them and monitor it and then integrate them at a later date. from the shipper's point of view, do not ship questionable birds. One would think that that would be understood, that you don't ship a bird that's not 100%. But as a consumer, you have to protect yourself against those who may not follow those practices. The NAGA Code of Ethics states that as an NAGA member, that I will endeavor to protect the purchaser and consumer of game birds and the hunter so as to deserve patronage through sale of high quality game birds in compliance with all local, state, and federal laws and regulations. That includes the movement of game birds from infected areas or birds that have been, well, they just should be tested before they're shipped. That I believe that the proper performance of great game bird breeding operations will ensure disease-free, stable, and sound populations of game birds. It is our obligation as an industry to make sure that we are shipping 100% healthy birds. Finally, we on the NAGA board are working very hard on several areas. Indemnity values are the prices that the USDA pays for birds that are depopulated from affected facilities. We're working to get those figures more in line with national averages. Should you be affected without being an MPIP member or having a biosecurity plan, there's no guarantee that you will be paid a fair price or anything at all. We're also gathering information on depopulating and disposal protocols that are acceptable across the industry. If you have an outbreak and you lose birds, what do you do with the volume of the mass of body in game birds? Can you take them to a landfill? Can you compost them? Can you bury them? And those are questions you need to think through before you have an outbreak on your farm. Thirdly, the third risk is a redefinition of the potentially of the word poultry to exclude any bird destined for release. This is something that we are working on for the industry, for our association. We have committees working on these issues and would welcome your help and your input. If you don't think you need NAGA, think again. If you're not a member of this trade association, you're standing alone. We ask you and invite you to come join us. You can join the North American Game Bird Association on our website, NorthAmericanGameBird.com. Thank you for listening in. We invite your input. This is a re-recording, so I'm not live at the current time to take your comments, but anything sent to us at info@NorthAmericanGameBird.com would be responded to. Thank you for listening in, and we are thankful that you have listened. Thank you.